we give our unbiased review of The Witcher, Season 3, Part 1.
You sure about this?
Are you?
We had the opportunity to watch the first 5 episodes of The Witcher Season 3 last week, and we figured it's time to talk about it and how we're feeling about Henry Cavill's departure. And while Cavill remains as engaging as ever in his leading role as Geralt, nothing about The Witcher's 3rd season has convinced me that the show is going to be salvageable after he departs this season.
Well, that's deeply worrying.
Honestly, everything I just watched reminded me how much Cavill's brooding but compelling take on Geralt elevates the show from the sort of standard fantasy B-show fare that, frankly, is Netflix's bread and butter to one of Netflix's top-tier shows. While Cavill shines, or more accurately glowers with radiance, whenever he's on screen, the pacing, the effects, and the acting from most of the remainder of the cast paints a rather grim picture for what the series will do when Cavill departs the show at the end of this 2-part season. Now, this season of The Witcher is a loose adaptation of Time of Contempt, the second novel of the Witcher books. It's a meaty book with a lot of moving pieces and critical events, and kind of builds on the politics and the world building laid out in its predecessor, Blood of Elves. The first half of the season focuses on Geralt's investigation of Rience, a pyromancer who is attempting to capture Ciri on behalf of a mysterious employer, while Ciri and her new tutor, Yennefer, Yennefer, who is in love with Geralt, and they have a will they or won't they thing going on. Those two journey to the magical school of Aretuza to help Ciri control her magic. Meanwhile, multiple factions are pursuing Ciri, all for their own agendas. Now, one of the major complaints about The Witcher, at least in Season 2, was how much it deviated from the plot of Blood of Elves. Although the 3rd season at least tries to broadly follow Time of Contempt, those past deviations from the source material last season really comes back to haunt the show as it wades more and more into the geopolitics of the continent. The motivations of most of the factions seem to stem from the same desire for power, which makes all the subterfuge and all the moving parts feel a little bit hand-wavy and superfluous as a result. In the books, all of those competing factions and the politics were really just detriments and obstacles for Geralt and his allies to overcome. In fact, the books are notoriously anti-political. They are kind of a direct counter to all the regional politics that, kind of consume Eastern Europe. However, in the show, they feel like more of an attempt to capture some of the juicy intrigue of Game of Thrones, but without the compelling characters or the top-tier acting. To be blunt, The Witcher really struggles with making its politics, or more importantly, the characters driving those politics, compelling, and really the show just loses it whenever it moves away from Geralt and his trio of close friends. Now, the strongest bits of the show, of course, is when Cavill gets to draw his sword and face some weird and horrifying monsters. And good news, the monsters this season are definitely terrifying, and one of the things that the show does really well is make Cavill look believable as a professional monster hunter who is equally proficient at killing people. The fight choreography and the direction during those scenes are just a highlight, and it's kind of disappointing that the show's plot is regrettably moving more and more away from those type of scenes. Watching the first 5 episodes of The Witcher, it's clear how much the show benefits from Cavill's presence. He really understands the subtle complexities of Geralt and his role in the show. He just carries The Witcher, and he really elevates it from forgettable streaming platform schlock to something that resembles compelling television. And therein lies my big fear with The Witcher. We've seen that Netflix's attempt to expand the franchise past the core series just end in messy disaster, and nothing about these 5 episodes has convinced me that the show can survive Cavill's departure. Even though Geralt himself is not going anywhere. He's being recast with Liam Hemsworth. The initial draw of The Witcher was Cavill getting to play a character he loved and watching him fight monsters and grunt his way through sticky magical situations. But as the show itself evolves into a geopolitical magic thriller, The Witcher won't be able to rely on Cavill or cool monster fights much longer. It's really a fascinating thing to watch. The Witcher show made its name based on Cavill killing monsters, but the underlying source material, the Witcher books and the Witcher short stories, used those fights as a way to introduce Geralt to readers, and then showed how he would react when the monsters he faces are people instead of dragons and striga and other things pulled out of, myth and folklore. And while The Witcher novels delighted fans with its compelling characters and a fantastic storyline, the show really hasn't hit that pivot as well. And quite frankly, it's kind of running out of time. Our score for The Witcher Season 3, 3.5 stars out of 5, largely because of Henry Cavill. We just love him when he's using those swords and grunting. He's great.